And with that, you have successfully helped me figure out a good balance for all of this. So I need to be sure to save this as a different profile rather than just a default one, and this will be for my reaction videos from now on. Thank you, and let's continue.
Rocksteady releasing a staggering 9 years after Arkham Knight.
Yeah, 9 years.
In the boots of the Suicide Squad in a live service looter-shooter context. Their mission, shoot the Justice League and their mind-controlling master Brainiac into teeny tiny pieces. Now, understandably, Suicide Squad has not endeared itself nearly as much as Rocksteady's prior efforts, departing on a tonal and gameplay front from the Arkham games of yore, and thus tying up the studio's wonderful eye for detail and immersion in a banal gameplay loop predicated around shooting glowy things and getting various purple and gold-coloured items, mostly guns. The Rocksteady we know and love is still there, evidenced by the glorious character models, detailed environments, and authentic, entertaining dialogue. It's just buried underneath the unimaginative tropes of a genre the developer's mythos feels ill-suited to. Not that the story has helped things especially either. Exacerbating the myriad concerns of Suicide Squad's gameplay loop and endgame is the profound sense of disappointment that comes with stepping out of Rocksteady's Gotham for the first time, only to have to destroy everything that came before. Yes, the killing the Justice League premise is what makes Suicide Squad's narrative so irreverently fun, but barring a post-game twist entailing the squad rescuing the real League of Lord Brainiac.
Okay, yes, you kill the Justice League. However, when they say kill, they really do mean kill, because there is no hamming it up for the death scene. It's literally they're chatting in the fight scenes, and you're like the villain, who are like Superman or the Flash, Green Lantern or Batman, they're taunting you, and then once their health bar hits 0, it's they're just dead. That's just it. There is no anything. There's no like them bleeding out. There's no like last words. The only person who really gets any last words is Batman, and that's because they had to catch him. And even then, I don't understand how you don't. The writing trope was right there. You capture Batman to not. I mean, to figure out the reason they captured Batman was to figure out how to make sure that to create a kryptonite against Superman using Brainiac's tech, but not to figure out a way to undo the process. What people don't realize, do you want to know the only limitation in a piece of fiction? The writer. What they want to happen. Or whoever makes the decision. Whoever says, yes, that's what I want. Because in this case, it most likely was not the writer. It was a creative director and executive who mandated certain things, and what are you supposed to do when you're the one being paid rather than the one who's providing the funds? The people who are providing the funds, they're the ones who are making a majority of the decisions and saying, yes, this is the path we're going to take. So stop attacking the people that the creative directors and the executives hired to achieve what they wanted. Okay? Thank you.
Shit, which players have already started to suspect is the case, it also means that the Arkhamverse could be over before it ever really got going. But it doesn't have to. Despite a middling critical reception and the poor track record of recent live service titles surviving past their first year, the Arkhamverse still has plenty of life to give.
Just a little bit of
so
poor
patiently
track
for almost a decade
record.
if it didn't, and Justice League or no Justice League, there is a path forward that could redeem the franchise and recapture the magic it all made us fall in love with it when we first stepped into Arkham Asylum's intensive treatment ward all those years ago. So welcome to the Madhouse.
Yeah, but they have to flip the script.
Plan to save Batman Arkham.
They gotta do another small Metroidvania open world like they did in Arkham Asylum.
Several DC projects developed by Warner Bros. Games Montreal, the studio behind the criminally underrated Batman Arkham Origins, as well as several of Arkham Knight's DLC add-ons, were cancelled. One of these was a Suicide Squad title, hence the post credit tease of Task Force X and Origins, but after that, the studio shifted development to a Batman game centered around Damian Wayne in a post-apocalyptic Gotham, as was first reported by
That sounds awesome.
all the way back in December 2016. Taking inspiration from Grant
And
Morrison's
it's
genius
Batman Beyond plus Damian. I mean, come on.
And fought a new rogues gallery, including an older Two-Face and Harley Quinn, a female Black Mask, and a Crystal Highlight, Gorilla Grodd. The project
That
was
would've been
shown sometime
awesome.
in 2017, with concept art leaking shortly afterwards, painting the picture of a unique title that would challenge the notion of what Batman is to a new audience. Look, it's always easy to cover what we didn't end up getting, and you can see some of the mechanics from that Damian game carried over into Gotham Knights, but it's still a cancellation I've never really gotten over. Aside from it tapping into one of my favourite corners of the Batman mythos, a Damian game would have been the perfect way to follow up Arkham Knight, approaching the Cape Crusaders legacy from a fresh perspective, while also leading into the visuals of another beloved pillar of the character's recent history, Batman Beyond. Concept art for the Damian title showcased to me that seamlessly blended the dystopian future setting of Morrison's Damian issues with
Because then you could actually implement in the new gameplay mechanics you could have implemented in a Batman Beyond game.
By Terry McGinnis. It wasn't Batman Beyond, but it also wasn't a one-to-one adaptation of Morrison's books either. This makes of formulas and inspirations had already served Rocksteady well when it crafted Batman Arkham Asylum, which drafted in Batman animated series scribe Paul Dini to write the story, but this would have been something altogether more unexpected and, dare I say it, exciting. The world of Caped Crusader is so well-trodden and familiar, but Montreal appears to be breaking into new territory, enough that I still think it's an idea worth pursuing, even more so now in the wake of Suicide Squad and with the untimely passing of Kevin Conroy.
They need to limit the focus. Just shrink it. They just need to do another night. I mean,
the Dark Knight, the story of the Suicide Squad, and the loss of Conroy make a legacy-driven Batman game all the more essential. Gotham Knights excelled in this regard with its story of the Bat family coming to terms with the death of Bruce Wayne, but it's a concept Rocksteady feels uniquely suited to, the studio having an inextricable connection to not just Batman, but Conroy as well. Conroy's legacy as the voice of Batman looms large over the studio's games, and especially over Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, where he excelled in a new villainous portrayal before meeting a brutal and controversial end at the hands of Harley Quinn. Evidence currently points towards Bruce returning at a later point in the game's post-launch content, but even with a potential return on the horizon, Conroy's death deserves a more fitting venue for a send-off, a title dedicated to celebrating the legacy of the Dark Knights in a world where he's needed more than ever. Of all the controversies that have emerged in the wake of Suicide Squad's release, the depiction and subsequent death of...
Okay, I just gotta get it out of the way. The way that Harley is portrayed in this game is one of the worst portrayals of Harley Quinn I have ever seen. There is no heart to her character. Look at all of her everywhere else. The Harley Quinn cartoon show, there's heart there. Her comic book line, when she's had her headlined her own series, almost always some kind of like emotional reason and heart, and she cares about something. It's not like she's crazy, but she does regret following the Joker. But it's incredible. It's right in line with all the other out of character moments with the entire like Justice League and everything. The only characters that people are not like actively really attacking all that much are Captain Boomerang, King Shark, and Deadshot, and that's because there's really not nearly as much media with them as there is with Harley Quinn and each member of the Justice League. Have you ever bought a comic called King Shark, Captain Boomerang, or Deadshot before? I'm pretty sure Deadshot Mini exists, but how many people bought it? Now, how many people have bought a comic book called Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Batman, Superman, or even Harley Quinn? There's a lot more to work with there than these writers, like the writers of this game. Not the writers of this game, sorry. The creative directors who decided to go and approve these directions, or wanted these directions. Those are the two things. They either approved it or they wanted it, people. It's one of those two things. And this is what they decided, yes. We're going to ignore all previous characterizations, and we'll explain it later on. Maybe we'll explain it after they kill the 5th Brainiac out of 13. You don't make your story part of the live service. You don't. Your live service is the DLC extensions to a story. It's the add-ons to bridge to the next game. You do the story, then your gameplay loop's supposed to be fun enough to prolong and drag it out, while DLC to introduce new pieces to build towards the next release. That's the model that live servers should be aiming for if it should exist at all. But that's not what they do now. I mean, this was one of the worst ways to use live service in a game that I've ever seen. When they were like, you killed Brainiac, yay! Oh, there's 12 more. Then what have I accomplished? Anyways.
Batman has probably been the biggest. While the reaction to this moment in the game has been typical gamer rage ridiculousness with a vocal contingent online, posting themselves into a frettling Joker toxin looking mess, I don't think anyone could call this a fitting send-off for the Arkham Batman. Even with a now inevitable seeming resurrection in mind, that doesn't change the fact that the inane story of Suicide Squad quite mercilessly killed the same Caped Crusader that endeared themselves to fans over the preceding Arkham games. And attached heightened further still by Conroy's character.
Alright, and no. The idea that they're clones, you can't get away with it for any of this stuff. If they're clones, it doesn't take away Captain Boomerang pissing on Flash's corpse while the rest of the team salute the size of his dick. Yeah. You don't go and have a Green Lantern ring remain on a finger when they're sitting there dead, when they were able to use it. Oh, but they're a clone. That's why it doesn't fly away. Then how could they use it? You don't go and... I mean, oh, well, the kryptonite didn't work because he's a clone. It's not because... I mean, the idea that the green kryptonite does not work on Superman when he's stabbed through the heart with it is... It hurts my head that it did nothing. really. I mean, oh. Anyways, the amount of everybody's there talking about the plot armor and everything else, but it's just disrespect does not go away because they're not actually dead. You still disrespected them to the nth degree for a really poor and dumb joke. Oh, but this is what our audience wanted. What audience? Have you looked at the streaming numbers? That's an audience right there, yeah. Your audience was all single-player games, remember?
Defining portrayal going all the way back to the early 1990s with Batman the Animated Series. To be clear, this isn't an attempt to justify the level of backlash that has been directed Rocksteady's way, but rather to acknowledge that the character's ending is unfortunate. A resurrection post-strip will merely serve as a reminder of Suicide Squad genre foibles, with the true conclusion arriving months after the launch following multiple seasons of Elseworlds-themed content. It can't be held that this may be the last time we hear Conroy's Batman in a video game, but equally, it should provide added motivation to venerate the late actor's impact on the character and his indelible contributions to Rocksteady's mythos. Contrary to what Suicide Squad's universe-destroying story may suggest, that very premise might provide a compelling path forward to do just that. Hear me out. Judging from in-game clues and leaked dialogue, the mind control members of the Justice League will at some point return to their old selves in Suicide Squad's post-launch slate. It's unclear how this will happen. The main theory currently is that the League is Task Force X killed, where really copies Brainiac made from the imprisoned members, but they will need to come back and will also be forced to confront the actions that evil doppelgangers got up to while they were all locked up. For Batman, this could be especially important. As the late great Darwin Cook stated beautifully in the comic Batman Ego, the Cape Crusader is a symbol of hope more than he is just a symbol of fear.
Yep.
However long Brainiac's invasion lasted, Bruce Wayne's life mission has been dragged through the dirt. He killed and tortured innocents and potentially even Tim Triggs' Robin. These are all devastating consequences that a Suicide Squad game feels ill-suited to actually tackle, but for a new Batman title set years in the future,
yeah, don't even get me I'm not going to start, but the idea of having a Robin's mask bloodied on the floor of the Batcave in Metropolis,
could be perfect. I'm using Batman Beyond here for purposes of convenience in describing a defined aesthetic and tone. What I'm really arguing for is an amalgamation of different concepts along the lines of what those games Montreal was planning with its cancelled Damian Wayne title. Both concepts hinged on the idea of an older Bruce Wayne guiding a successor through an unfamiliar Gotham, but Conroy's passing should make this a non-starter in a true Arkham sequel. Instead, a future Batman game could impact the legacy of a now deceased Bruce by having someone fight to reclaim the symbol of the Bat and remind Gotham citizens of what it was before Brainiac's atrocities. Working from that premise, this new Batman game could, like Gotham Knights before it, examine the mythology of the character through his allies. Perhaps Dick Grayson attempted to take on the mantle too soon at the Suicide Squad and was rejected. Maybe Barbara Gordon joined the GCPD and is now commissioner in place of her father. Through these legacy figures, players could enter a Neo-Gotham that has either forgotten Batman or fears his memory, assuming the role of Damian Wayne or Terry McGinnis as they carve a new legend and restore what was once lost. This isn't to say that Damian and Terry are interchangeable figures, of course. Each character represents a different kind of Batman story in the way in which they are connected to Bruce Wayne. However, it's easy to see how both lend themselves well to the concept, with Damian's Batman stories taking on a darker, more apocalyptic bent in Morrison's run, and Terry's being firmly rooted in a dark but youthful tech noir space.
I know, Damian Wayne Batman Beyond game can be a lot of fun.
While Terry has long enshrined the concept of the Dark Knight was never about just one man. These are two diverging angles to take, but both ultimately lend themselves well to the idea of honoring and exploring Batman's legacy in a post-Suicide Squad world. If you have your own idea for a future Batman Arkham game as well, let me know down in the comments. Would you take it down the Batman Beyond route or try something completely different? Really curious to hear other people's thoughts on this, so if you do have an idea for your own dream DC title, let us know down in the comments below. Now, obviously, the biggest barrier in front of this concept, apart from the fact it was already cancelled once, let's just ignore that for now, is one of its push towards live service games. Now, live service isn't inherently bad. Just like the recent release of Helldivers 2 is an example of how games as a service can excel. But it does need to make sense. By far, the biggest problem with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is that the DC license felt contorted and stretched to accommodate live service looter shooter gameplay. Why is Captain Boomerang, a fairly intricate supervillain name I think we can all agree, a specialist with a shotgun? And why am I spending so much time shooting a minigun as King Shark when I'd much rather just be biting dudes in half like an aquatic mammal?
And that's the one thing that Avengers, even though it really was not a very good game, it understood. The one thing it understood is that you need to use the powers of the superheroes.
Hybrid. Throw in the fact that it continues the story of the Arkhamverse, and what you're left with isn't exactly a Green Arrow lip ripper of a chili.
And keep in mind, their DLC characters confirmed. Joker, no superpowers. Mr. Freeze, no superpowers. He's got the freeze suit and the freeze gun. And odds are he's just going to be firing ice bullets. So I don't see them actually, using him using a freeze ray to, freeze guys with it. And yeah, anyways. Then Deathstroke is what it sounds like. Yeah, those are all humans. You've got to of all the characters they have one that is actually a metahuman with powers. And that's King Shark. One of 7 playable characters in a super villain game. Makes sense. Yeah. Against the Justice League, you want to send 6 humans and one shark.
As far as recipes go, what you do have is a sequel with years of hype and speculation behind it, but one that shares little in common with the games that came before. Suicide Squad has its fans, and honestly, if you're one of them, more power to you, but it has largely been met with a huge wave of negativity. With the aforementioned factors in mind, that shouldn't have been a surprise. The concern going forward is that the lessons of Suicide Squad's critical failure are not learned, and that one of it presses ahead with its live service focus. The latest story chapter in the story of David Zaslav's stewardship of the company, who, not content with just deleting films, has turned his attention to gaming. A February report from Variety claimed that is making a concerted push towards live service titles, and that DC, understandably, is a key.
Zaslav, I'd be here way too long. Way too long.
With that in mind, one would expect other studios under the Warner umbrella to be moved in that direction as well. Developers who once excelled in the single-player AAA space, like Rocksteady.
Zaslav is a perfect example of a billionaire believing what they want is the market, not what we want, not what the consumers, not what the customers want. That's not a market. That's not the market. That's what we live in now. We live in a time when it's the billionaires that get to choose what we have, what we can do. The only time it changes is years later when they can't spin their failure. Notice how I phrased that.
Having to shift priorities to accommodate a genre in which they have precious little experience. This is all still speculative, of course. Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor developer Monolith is currently working on a single-player Wonder Woman game, while one of those games, Montreal, also has an untitled DC game in development as well. What shapes these titles take is still up in the air, but the hope is that, unlike Suicide Squad, whichever characters are spotlighted lend themselves well to the genre of game they're situated within. The biggest problem with Suicide Squad and even Gotham Knights is that they feel like games caught between oscillating crashes. Gotham Knights couldn't just be a 1 to 2 player story-driven Batman game. It had to also have a loot system and a post-launch raid-style update. Rocksteady couldn't just make a follow-up to Arkham Knight. It had to be a 4-player looter shooter with a roadmap of seasonal content. Again, it's not that these genres are inherently bad or aren't conducive to making a good DC game, but they do need to feel organic. A looter shooter based on Jim Lee's Wildstorm could work, given how many gun-toting characters there are in that corner of the DCU, but it doesn't fit Suicide Squad, and certainly not a Suicide Squad game meant to follow up arguably the greatest single-player superhero games of all time. Ultimately, the difference between a good and bad future for Batman Arkham and DC games as a whole...
Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, without a doubt, 2 of the best single-player games of all time. Arkham Knight, it's in the top 1,000, which is still a lot. I mean, think about how many video games there are. Top 1,000 is pretty good, but it's not. Arkham Asylum and Arkham City are both top 100, top 50, top 30 single-player experiences, both of them. I mean, Arkham Asylum is the... If you want to go and see what a 3D Metroidvania is, it's Arkham Asylum. That is peak 3D Metroidvania. I mean, it did everything correctly, and then when they took that formula, they took their Metroidvania formula, essentially, and brought it into a miniature open world. Well, what was an open world at the time? And that's pretty cool, but it also lost a good amount of stuff because you still had to backtrack a lot. There were still so many places you couldn't go. And anyways.
What lives and dies with that creative direction. If live service has to be the future, then it needs to be done in a way that feels organic. Part of that means
live service is not the future.
Single-player focused series like Batman Arkham, which can and should be concluded on a more fitting note than Suicide Squad was able
live
to
service
provide.
being pushed.
Something like a Damian Wayne Batman or Batman Beyond game makes the most sense to me, as linked to honor that legacy.
Both of them. Merge them.
Arkham might be dead already. It's been a decade of terrible decisions from Warner Bros. Pre and post the great Zaslamification of 2022, and nothing about the recent strategy has inspired any sort of confidence or optimism about its future, whether that be gaming or movies. Would Rocksteady be able to recapture the magic of its Arkham trilogy today? I still think the answer is yes. Suicide Squad,
for
all its creative faults, is a technical showcase layered with great character work and performances. Beneath the loot and the gameplay and the banal numberiness of it all, you can still see that old Rocksteady shine. The concern is that, under the current WB regime, that shine will only briefly shimmer rather than gleam.
Yep. That's right on. I mean, right on with a lot of the shots it took and a lot of the observations. And Batman, I mean, really, if you do not throw away what they did in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, if you don't throw away Death of Robin, Death of Batman and everything, the only way to go really is Batman Beyond style Damian Wayne one, where I'd go and since it looks like they killed off Tim Drake, then go and have like a crippled Dick Grayson be the mentor for him. Like he was like Batman crippled him instead of being able to kill him or something, and so he ends up taking Batman's son and training him, or he learns about him later or something, or have Ra's be the reason for like Damian being around because he took Bruce's DNA and he and Talia went and basically made a baby out of it. There you go. I mean, there's so many different ways you could go in with the story, even with where they've left it. But anyways, I like a lot of the points that it takes. The one thing that really need to emphasize was that they need to limit their focus to a 15-hour single-player experience that blows people away. That's what they need to do. That's what they did with Arkham Asylum, and they need to do the same thing. They need to bring it back. I mean, nowadays with how a lot of studios are set up, that you could do that kind of thing with a smaller team. We've actually seen proof of that everywhere, especially with tools at our disposal now. So, yeah, Damian Wayne, yes. Batman Beyond, yes. Limit the focus. Not an open world game if you want to actually bring Arkham Batman back, but I don't see a point to it anymore. Let series end. They're allowed to end.